Good afternoon, Beeville. This is Cindy Clark from PAC-B TV, and I'm here this beautiful afternoon with Dan Cummings from the Honor Flight. He is the Director of Marketing and Communications. Thanks, Dan. I know you're busy. This is a busy time for you.
Well, it sure is, but it's good to be here. This is a good time to be busy.
Well, it is. It is. And for those of you, I don't know if everybody remembers when Dan used to be on Channel 9 News.
Oh, yeah?
One of my favorite
Thank you.
announcers. I want to let you know that, and I do miss you still. But anyways, we're here to talk a little bit about the Honor Flight, how it got started, how you got involved in it, the purpose of it, the ins and outs, just some information to let us know how we're honoring our vets. So why don't you start at the beginning and tell us how you got involved?
Well, years ago, Cindy, when Honor Flight Syracuse was just a baby, back in their early years, they invited me to go on Mission 4. We always try to get somebody from the mass media, television, radio, newspapers, to take the flight with us. And so my turn came up. They asked Channel 9 if they could send a reporter on Mission 4. Way back when. Honor Flight Syracuse started in 2012, so this would have been 2014 when I went on Mission 4, because we do 2 missions a year. This would have been the fall of 2014, if memory serves. And I was able to go with a videographer, and we covered Honor Flight Syracuse from airport to DC and back to Hancock Airport. It was a tremendous experience. I was able to do a half-hour documentary on the Honor Flight, the hero's journey, we called it. And then a few years later, I covered Mission 10. I went on Mission 10, Syracuse Honor Flight Mission 10 to Washington, produced another half hour. And Cindy, these were just 2 of the very best assignments I've ever had. I was so moved by the interviews I did with these veterans and their guardians and their families, and to see them in Washington on the ground. Because as you know, Honor Flight allows these veterans at no cost to them to visit the monuments and memorials built to recognize their service. And for some of them, it's the first time they've ever been to the Vietnam Wall. Or back in Mission 4 and Mission 10, there were a lot of World War II veterans. Many. The flight was filled with them, visiting the World War II Memorial. So it was wonderful. So that got me involved at Channel 9. That's what you asked. And every year after Mission 10, we continued at Channel 9 to do annual half-hour special programs that we called Veterans Voices. And I anchored and wrote and produced most of them. And it just cemented in me just how important it is to honor our veterans. And when I retired from Channel 9 a few years ago, the leadership of Honor Flight Syracuse reached out and asked me if I'd help them out as a volunteer in retirement with communication and marketing and talking about Honor Flight to others. I'm happy to do it.
Oh, I'm so glad, and we're so glad you could come here. Why don't we kind of start at the beginning? Who started all of this? I mean, do we know this? I mean, do you remember this? Or?
I can tell you a little bit, and
Okay.
then you can fill in the rest with your Google research. But in all seriousness, my understanding is the Honor Flight Network, which is a national network of, I think, 120 hubs, maybe more. I may be off on that. That's one of your Google fact checks. An outfit in, I believe, the upper Midwest, I want to say Ohio, and another outfit in one of the Carolinas, I want to say North Carolina. When I say outfit, I mean 2 individuals who knew that at that point, this was going back into 2002, 2004, I don't have the exact year, but in the first decade of this century, the World War II Memorial was finished in Washington. And I want to say that was 2002. Again, fact check me, because I'm just the guy that talks.
Google it.
But I'm
right.
close. The point is that once it took so long to get the World War II Memorial, and it's beautiful if you've ever been to Washington and seen it.
Yes.
Finished, even by the time in early this century, it was our World War II veterans were already aging quickly, and they were beginning to age into infirmity in some cases. So we recognized, or the people who created these 2 first honor flights in Ohio and North Carolina recognized that if we don't do something to help our World War II veterans get to Washington to see this beautiful monument to their service, they might never get there on their own to travel from all over to get to DC. So they arranged these 2 flights, I think, with small private aircraft. I think they flew, 6, 8, 10 veterans from, and they realized we've got something special here and others should know about this. And then it grew from there, that a lot of people began to recognize that the honor, they called it Honor Flight. I think they had a different name for it. But out of that initial fledgling effort, became the Honor Flight Network. Now it's a national organization headquartered in suburban Washington. Syracuse, Honor Flight Syracuse, is just one of well over 100 hubs that regularly take these flights to Washington. And Honor Flight Syracuse began back in 2012. It took a few years for Honor Flight Syracuse to get going, because we didn't realize what it was. I'll tell you the origin. I don't want to take too much of everybody's time, but you asked about the origin.
I did.
Young man at that point by the name of Randy Flath lived in Camillus in the western suburbs of Onondaga County, and he went with his dad, a veteran, on the Rochester Honor Flight. Rochester had a hub first, and he heard about Rochester Honor Flight. And what is this? He took his dad, had the experience of a lifetime, as most guardians will tell you. It's an experience for them too. And he came back to Onondaga County and said to some of the people he knew around here, "Wow, we got to get this going in Syracuse." And that was, I think, 2010. He started to talk to Admiral John Paddock of Skaneateles. Rear Admiral Paddock retired. And he said, "John, what can we do?" He made presentations. They got some fundraising going, and the rest is history. Honor Flight Syracuse started in 2012.
Oh, I think it's fabulous. I went to watch it last year, and it was so moving, absolutely moving. But anyways, now we've got primarily Vietnam vets.
It is now,
because
Cindy.
of the aging,
Yes. When I started covering it back on Mission 4, we fly 82 veterans every spring and 82 veterans again every fall on that chartered American Airlines jet. When I started covering Honor Flight Syracuse, of the 82 veterans, I want to say easily 65 or 70 were World War II veterans. The flight that will take off on May 3rd, Mission 22, will have 82 veterans, and 62 of them are Vietnam era veterans.
Well, that doesn't
I don't
surprise
think
me,
there's
yeah.
a single World War II veteran on the flight. If so, there might be one. And the others will be Korea, some from some more recent eras of conflict, the Cold War, but the vast majority are now Vietnam veterans.
Okay. Say I have a relative that's a veteran and I would like them to be involved in this. What's the criteria?
We
Kind
have
of walk us
a
through
website
that.
that's pretty user-friendly.
Okay.
We're improving it day by day, but and it's easy to find, honorflightsyracuse.org.
Okay.
All one word, honorflightsyracuse.org. And you will find a page for applying for to fly, and you fill out an application online. And if for some reason you go online, or you can call the number on that website and they'll get you a hard copy application and they'll help you fill it out. It's an online application that you can help the veteran fill out or fill it out yourself. And all the information you need is there. And then it goes into a process of waiting. I'll be honest with you, the last I looked, we had well over 500 veterans waiting to fly. And we can only take 82 per flight. So if we could fly 3 or 4 times a year, we would. We can't afford that. There's not enough money. But there is a big backlog. And so if you want to fly or know a veteran who should have this experience, go to the website and get them signed up.
Now, how do they choose? Say you've got these numbers here. Is it a first come, first serve, or they go based on need or
it goes based
age?
on World War II still takes precedence.
Priority, okay.
If there are any surviving World War II veterans who are well enough to travel, and that's always a factor, health and safety, they get their number one.
Okay.
And then Korea, then Vietnam, and then other veterans whose health is able to allow them to go. Those veterans who are seriously ill, who are still well enough to travel, but seriously ill, or in a situation where we don't want to wait to invite them to fly, they also jump up the list.
Okay,
Absolutely.
that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah, that does make sense.
They go to the top of the list in any event. So it's era of conflict, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and then forward from there, pretty much. That's the way the waiting list goes, with health and safety being the top concern.
Now, you talked about people that are seriously ill but still allowed to travel. Are there any medical concerns where they wouldn't be allowed to fly? Or?
Well, that's up to our health and safety team. And I don't want to get into listing individual conditions, but we have a tremendous health and safety team with a whole small brigade of nurses that fly on each trip.
They fly with you, too?
They fly. They take the flight. They're on every plane, they're on every bus, because once they get to Washington, there are several buses that take these 82 veterans and their guardians, because that's 164 people, not counting the volunteers. that are visiting these memorials. The buses take off from Reagan International with a police escort, and they go everywhere with nurses. We have a crack health and safety team with experienced nurses and leadership that as soon as you apply and then they begin to decide who's going on the next flight, they are in immediate contact, personal contact by phone and often in-person visits with each veteran to determine their health and safety conditions, to ask them how they're doing, to see how they're doing, and to evaluate what they will need to travel. Everybody is assigned a guardian. Hopefully it's a family member, a close friend, someone that you want to travel with you. And if not, there'll be a guardian assigned for you to make sure you get to where you need to be. But for the determination of health and safety priorities, the ability to fly and make the mission, that's up to the evaluation of our volunteer professional.
There you go, the volunteers.
Health and safety team. Yeah.
So as far as, all right, so somebody gets they're approved, they're going to go. Now, what about the itinerary? Can they come in early? Do they come in that day, or people maybe visiting relatives?
All of the above.
Okay. And if they're local, obviously they drive in or have somebody drive them.
It's an early morning departure from Hancock. I think the flight on May 3rd will take off, I want to say 6 or 7 a.m. It's usually about 6 or 7. I should know that like this because I got to tell the people when to be there. But it's an early morning departure from Hancock International.
Okay.
Yes, the local veterans will arrive at the airport that morning, be greeted at the curb by a welcoming volunteer. But for those who are out of town, those who have, for instance, we've flown large groups. I think Mission 22 on May 3rd will have sizable groups from the North Shore of Oneida Lake and another group, I want to say, from Sackett's Harbor. But again, don't hold me to that. They will come down the day before, as will any other veterans from a distance away who don't want to drive in early Saturday. They come Friday, and we have rooms for them at the Embassy Suites Hotel at Destiny, USA.
Oh, okay, good.
And they're able to stay
there
and enjoy the evening and then be able to get up early the next morning, and we bus them, we shuttle them. Or if they don't have private transportation, we'll get them to the airport on time. And for the out-of-towners, yeah, we had a big group from way up north, I want to say Carthage, perhaps. See, I don't have these all in my head. But yeah, they either come in and stay at the Embassy Suites the night before, or the most people come in Saturday morning for the early departure.
Now, as far as the guardians.
Yeah.
Now, you said they prefer like family members or close friends. What's the responsibility of a guardian?
Well, they are to be with their veteran all day long. They sit next to him on the plane. They are with them every step of the way. Their main responsibility is to make sure that veteran has the experience of a lifetime, the day that they deserve, which means that they are caring for them. If they need to be in the wheelchair, they are in the wheelchair. If they are able to walk and take some steps, and which many of them are, they're still with them. If they need a drink of water, if it's time for lunch, if it's time for a snack, if it's time to rest, if it's time to get back on the bus and stay cool in the air-conditioned bus because it's getting too warm in Washington, as it often does, that's their responsibility as well. And I would say, though, Cindy, the overarching responsibility is to be there with them in spirit as well as in mind and body, to share with them that experience, to listen to what they have to say. And that's why we love to have family members go, because fathers and sons, fathers and daughters, spouses, to share this experience with that veteran. Yes, to ensure their health and safety during the trip and a comfortable trip for that veteran, but also to be with them as somebody to share the experience.
That experience,
that's
right.
The main responsibility.
Oh, I saw some of them when they were coming down last September there, and coming down the aisle in the airport, and I could feel their emotion.
You can see it sometimes right on their faces.
Raising their hands up.
Or the tears on their cheek.
Oh, it was such an emotional time. I got to tell you, and I'm just watching these people come down.
Yeah.
And that is an experience that I will never forget.
It's a tremendous welcome home.
It is.
While you mentioned the guardians, I do want to be candid. When we assign a guardian and they agree to be the guardian for this veteran, we do ask if they can afford. If they can afford it, there's a small donation that we're asking the guardians to make on behalf of the veteran. If they can't make it, it doesn't matter. They fly free as well. Honor Flight Syracuse covers the cost of the whole thing. But since you raised the issue of guardians, Once the Guardian is approved, we do ask for a small, if they can afford, a donation to help defray the cost of the flight. If they can, fantastic. If they can't, that's also fantastic.
Okay, well, that's good to know.
Everybody flies.
That's good to know.
We raise money privately, and we're totally privately funded by donations. There's no government money here. There's no salaries on Honor Flight. We're all volunteers.
We are the volunteers.
Right.
So it's just individually funded, basically.
Yeah.
Donors, whatever.
Very generous people.
Maybe you have people that like, corporate. Do you have corporate
We
sponsors
started out,
involved here?
SRC is a huge founding corporate sponsor. I will be remiss if I start to try to list them all because there's too many. Lemoyne started out strong, M&T Bank. Some people have been with us from the very beginning, and that's why I'm not going to try to list anymore because I'd be missing some big sponsors. I think you mentioned Tops.
Right.
They've been there along the way, Lockheed. But those are the big corporate sponsors that have underwritten some of these costs. But it costs over $500. With inflation, it's going to soon push $600 per veteran to fly them to Washington. 600 times 82, you can understand how expensive these flights get. So, and to do it twice a year, we depend on private support, individual donations, corporate donations, group fundraisers. They happen all year long. By the way, can I mention an upcoming
Absolutely,
fundraiser?
I think you should.
This Saturday, the 26th, and Sunday, the 27th of April, both days, 9 to 5 at Destiny USA, the parking lot right across the street from the mall, right next to the Embassy Suites Hotel at the corner of Hiawatha Boulevard and Solar Street. We'll have tractor-trailer trucks there to take your bottles and cans. It's a bottle and can drive, and we do it at least every spring. And for every container, it's a 6-cent donation to Honor Flight. Your nickel, and then Tomra, the big recycling company. They own 13 or 14, you see the bottle and can retrieval centers. Some of them have the dog on it, the little puppy dog. They're all over the place. They're huge. They're international. And Tomra, that owns these recycling companies, they donate a penny of their take. So every nickel, every bottle or can will bring 6 cents to Honor Flight. So if you can, or if you know somebody who's still got bottles and cans sitting around from the winter and the parties, the Easter parties, the Passover parties, Saturday and Sunday, April 26th, April 27th, 9 to 5, both days, right there in the parking lot at Destiny USA. We'd love to see you.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good to know.
Thanks for letting me get that
I know.
in.
Well, you should. I mean, every little bit helps, doesn't it?
Amen,
It
sister.
can be a community event.
Amen.
Everybody gets involved here for a great cause. Now, what is, as far as, all right, when they come back in,
Oh, the itinerary talk. Yeah.
yeah, when they get, well, once they, what are some of the sites that they
Well,
see
right.
in Washington?
Before
Let's
I
go back.
digress there on the fundraiser, yes, they fly out early Saturday morning. They land at Reagan National at about 8 o'clock, give or take. And then they deplane, they board buses, several buses right there at the Reagan terminal, and then they head first to the World War II Memorial. That's
Okay.
always the first stop.
Okay.
Even if there's no World War II vets on the plane, we will stop there and the veterans will have a chance, all of them, to visit that memorial, which is pretty impressive. And then back on the bus, we go to the Vietnam Wall, and the Vietnam and Korea memorials are right next to each other, just within spitting distance. The bus stays there because the Lincoln Memorial is also within a short
Right,
walk or
right.
bus ride or wheelchair ride.
Whatever.
And then besides those main memorials, they also, if and when time allows, and it usually does, the Air Force Memorial, the Marine Memorial, the Iwo Jima Monument, Arlington National Cemetery, which is breathtaking
Yes,
because
it
they're
is.
there for the changing of the guard at the Tomb of the Unknown, which is, you can hear a pin drop when
Yes,
that.
you can.
If you've been
Yes,
there,
yes, I
you know
have.
what I'm talking about.
Yes.
And it takes your breath away, and then then they're back to Reagan at the end of the day. Last mission, I don't know if it can happen in this mission, but I believe it was the last mission 21 last fall. We also were able to stop at the Pentagon because there's a 9/11 memorial at the Pentagon because of the attack that killed several at the Pentagon, and there is a memorial there. Because, Cindy, it's more and more Vietnam veterans and Korea veterans still dominate these flights, but we've been talking at Honor Flight about the future, and there is no, as we sit here, I don't even know if there's a plan. There's certainly not a memorial for a physical memorial for the global war on terror and all of the other limited, not so limited sometimes, engagements that became involved in after 9/11 in Afghanistan and Iraq and Syria and elsewhere. But those veterans are welcome too. When you talked about who's eligible to fly, anyone, man or woman, who wore the uniform in defense of our country is eligible to fly. World War II, Vietnam veterans, but you didn't have to be in combat in order to fly Honor Flight Syracuse.
Now, if you have the flights that go down May 3rd,
Mission 22.
now is that just from this area?
Well, we have
Or
a
is this cut
10-county.
nationwide?
Honor Flight Syracuse. Every hub, I mentioned roughly 120 hubs, if I was correct in that. Every Honor Flight hub has a catchment area, if you will, or an area of responsibility. Honor Flight Syracuse covers 10 counties in upstate New York.
Okay.
I could attempt to name them, I'd probably fail, but everything pretty much from Jefferson, St. Lawrence County, North Country,
Yeah,
the
the
high North Country,
Franklin,
all the way
yeah,
down
yeah.
to Tompkins, Cortland, Cayuga, Oneida, Madison. I'll miss a few, but there's 10 counties.
You're doing a lot better than I can do.
Lewis,
Yeah.
because Rochester has its own hub. I think Buffalo does. Pretty sure Albany does. I know Binghamton does. It's a small hub in the twin tiers of the southern tier that have a hub. But we cover 10 counties.
Do they all go down at the same time?
Whichever 82 get picked, because yes, we just fill a plane with veterans on our waiting list from all 10 counties. So depending on where you are on the
Okay,
waiting
I
list.
see. Okay, now I get it.
Yeah,
Now
Honor
I get
Flight
it.
Syracuse
Okay.
covers 10 counties.
Okay, I get
Yeah.
it. I get it. All right. And as far as the rest of the country goes, because this is nationwide, do they come at the same time, or
Oh,
they
no.
have
Can you
different-
imagine if
too
they all
much?
came at the same
Too
time?
much?
Yes. Part of the challenge here is, and it's an annual challenge that our people are really good at meeting. Rob Shenick, our VP of Operations, Kevin Bradley, our President, Dick Blansett. I mean, Steve Weller's in the studio. There's people that have worked a lot harder than I do.
And
to
they're
make
all
this thing.
volunteers, right?
Every
All
one of us is
volunteers, yeah.
They are in constant contact with the Honor Flight Network and with Reagan National Airport, because we have to stagger the visits. Now, you go on any given Saturday, and they're not all on Saturdays, but you go on any given day when there is an honor flight. There's sometimes, the missions I covered, I would see the honor flight groups perhaps from Cleveland or Columbus, Ohio, or from Tampa, Florida. There often will be more than one honor flight hub on the ground at the same time on the same day in Washington, but a limited number. They have to stagger it because otherwise Reagan couldn't handle it and the monuments would be overwhelmed on a given day. For instance, I was just told that our next mission, 23, will fly this fall, and it's going to fly on September, the last I heard. Don't hold me to this either. It could change because it's changed twice already. September 13th. Tell me if that's a Saturday, somebody, because if it's a Saturday, the 13th of September, and the reason it got moved, we normally would do the very last Saturday in September or the first Saturday in October for the fall. Well, the Marine Corps Marathon, which is a huge national race, 50, 60,000 people descend on Washington for the Marine Corps Marathon. That's always on a particular fixed Sunday in early October, I think. It's either the last Saturday in September or Sunday in September or the first Sunday in October. Well, we had to move our flight because we don't want to be trying to fight that type of incoming
no.
traffic.
Oh.
Washington will be flooded with people from out of town
Right.
on that. So we had to move it. And that's just my point, is that we work closely with the National Honor Flight Network and with Reagan National Airport and the Park Police to make sure that our visit from Syracuse is timed so that there aren't too many hubs there at the same time.
I'll
Long
tell you,
answer
this
to
is-
your very short question.
This is a very well-oiled machine.
Yes,
I
it
could
is.
see. I mean, I spoke with you about it last year,
Yeah.
and then we watched the happenings, and we were waiting for the flight to arrive and the vets to come down. You're kind of watching and paying attention to what's going on around you, and I'm thinking, I got this happening here.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like clockwork.
absolutely. I was so impressed.
clockwork.
Everything is thought of. Anything that I was thinking of that they would,
They've already thought of it
they
6
thought
months
of it
ago.
and they did it and they've already
Believe me,
implemented
I've been
it.
very impressed with the
Oh, my
organization.
God.
I'm not a veteran myself. I never served, but I am extremely impressed with the almost paramilitary style organization of honor flights. It has to be, right?
Yes, it
has to
does.
be.
It does, because you're dealing with people that, most of them are seniors,
Oh, yeah.
and some of them are fragile. and with all different needs. And, you know, you get on here and you're going through a range of emotions with everybody and their guardians and the needs that you have to think of in advance what they possibly would need.
Yep.
And, you know, you said, well, get back into the bus to cool off.
Just the logistics of it
Just
all.
a little simple thing like
Yeah.
that, because if it's a hot day, that could bother some people, that
Sure.
type of
Oh,
heat.
yeah.
So, and you've got your medical team that's right there. They're right on the spot. They know everybody's history. It's amazing.
It
It's
is.
amazing.
It is.
So, anyways, we come home. You've told me all the monuments that you hit. Now you come home, and I remember last year, and I don't know if they do this every year. This was so impressive to me last year, I got to tell you. I was very impressed. We were up on the roof, and we're
water
watching.
cannon salute.
Yes,
I stole your parade.
you did.
The
You
parade
did.
comes
But
later.
I'm glad you did.
When that aircraft lands, yes, the fire crew at Hancock Airport takes two of its ladder trucks and puts the
spray
full
of water.
over both sides, one going
Yep.
over, one to this
Huh.
one, and the plane is greeted by that as it pulls up to the gate.
Oh, it was so impressive. And then you have the visitors that are waiting for them to
The
come
water
in.
cannon salute.
Oh,
It's something special.
I didn't know that was going to happen. And
Yeah.
then we got up there, and I said, I think they're going to do that salute like they
Depending
do
on-
when somebody retires, like a pilot retires. They do
Absolutely.
that.
It's just a salute, homecoming.
Oh.
Sometimes, if we're lucky, there's a rainbow with the water cannon salute.
Well, that'd be even better. That'd be even better. That was so impressive. So in they come.
Yep.
They take their route, and then they have to come downstairs to the main area of the airport, and then they've got it kind of closed off, you know, so, you know, for
Very closed off.
Yes. Again, precision timing, everything.
For the parade.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
So they come down with, you know, their guardians, and everybody's cheering and yelling
Got the
and taking
bagpipers
pictures,
piping.
and oh, it was so impressive.
Yeah.
And then they have some speeches.
Yep, after the parade, there's some speeches. But you know that parade, Cindy, and you saw it.
Yes, I did,
I see it
Dan.
every time, and it still moves me, is that these are people who line that parade route. And there's a couple thousand people there most of the time. And they come with signs, they come with flags, they come with grandchildren to say thank you
Yes.
to these veterans. And I always get choked up even just thinking
I
about
know.
it, talking about it, because
You're getting me going now too, Dan.
they
I
deserve
understand.
this
Yes, they do.
welcome home.
Yes, they do.
They deserve this honor flight. And we've talked about the preponderance of Vietnam veterans now on these flights. At 62 will fly of the 82 on May 3rd. You've served in Vietnam and you came home from your tour of duty, if you were lucky enough to come home alive and having done your duty in that Southeast Asia theater of conflict. There was no welcome home for these guys.
No,
Quite
ticker
the
tape parades.
contrary. Quite
Yes,
the contrary.
You're absolutely correct.
And so the honor flight gives them a chance to witness and to experience something like a real welcome home.
Yes.
Matter of fact,
Yes.
it is a real welcome.
It is. And it's and it honors them in such a terrific way.
And everybody's there to welcome them. The cheers are so loud, and it's wonderful. Then they're able to be seated for a brief, we promise the briefest possible ceremony we
Yes,
can have.
you do.
Because it's been
Yes,
a
you
long
do,
day.
yeah.
It's been a long day for them. And so we have a guest speaker and some great music from the Tom Dooley Choraleers.
Yes, I remember
It's
from
great.
last
Yeah,
year.
it's great.
Yeah, it was. You know, it was very good. Say, you know, I take somebody down, and you know, they may know some of the people on the flight, they may not. But is there a way that they can stay connected with each other?
After the flight.
Yes.
Yes, because we publish in the first place, when they fly, we prepare a whole packet of military bios, we call them mil bios. We research a little bit the military service record to the extent that the veteran wants to tell us. There's a team of volunteers, again, who get on the phone and call each of the veterans ahead of the flight and get a little information about them. Where did you serve? What years? If you want to share a memory of your time in service, and then maybe what you've done in retirement since you've been out of the military, a little bit about who you are, and there's little paragraphs that are written up, and that packet of 82 military bios is shared with everybody on the flight. They all have a backpack, and besides the snacks and a few other things that help them make their day better, these military biographical sketches are in everybody's. And I think they include contact information too. I think that would depend on the veteran. But yes, to answer your question, we hope that if they've met new friends on this trip, if they've made new acquaintances with other veterans, that they will stay in touch, and they clearly do. And they all, within a few weeks after the mission, they get a hardcover coffee table mission book, which is pictures and little captions of their day in Washington.
Oh, that's just fabulous. It's fabulous. As far as the qualifications and all of that, why don't you reiterate what somebody would do, say, if I'm watching this and I'm interested in having a relative or a friend, or saying to one of my friends or relatives, gee, you should try to do this with your relative or whatever. Why don't you reiterate how people can do that, either with the website and all of that? Just
Sure.
let us know again, let the public know how they can maybe get one of their friends or relatives involved in this.
If you think you have a veteran that in your family or in your life that would like to fly, go to honorflightsyracuse.org, that's the website, honorflightsyracuse.org, and look for the menu item that will give you an opportunity to apply veterans to fly. There's one place for volunteer if you want to sign up as a volunteer, but you can go right to the page that shows you how, and it's an online form to fill out. It's really rather simple. If you need help in filling it out, you can call the toll-free number on, and we will get back to you with someone to walk you through filling out. We don't want the application to be a burden because it's really pretty simple. And then you wait. We will be in touch, knowing that there is a waiting list. Sometimes, and I understand, if we could hold 50 cannon bottle drives and raise more money, we'd fly 3 or 4 times a year. It's tough. So in the meantime, the waiting list of 500 or 600 veterans, you can do the math, it's a few years at least of waiting.
Right.
And so we urge patience, but we also know that we'll be in touch with you, and we'll try to keep you posted on when your turn might come.
Right.
We take it from there.
Well, it's fabulous.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Well, I think we probably. Can you think of anything else we didn't cover today? I think we've pretty much hit it all, haven't we?
I think we have. I think you guys are so good to give. This is like a 60 Minutes interview. This is a real good chat on about Honor Flight Syracuse.
Well, I think we all need to know about it, and people that from my heyday was the Vietnam War, and you don't see that kind of support as much as you used to when I was a kid, and I think it's critical that we honor our vets. And we continue to do so as long as we possibly can.
100%.
It is. I have to say,
100%.
if you have never gone to witness the parade and witness the plane coming in with the water, the water cannons, if you've never done that, take the time, go out. I know sometimes it's tough to navigate at the airport and the parking and all of that, but it's well worth your time, well worth your effort to do it, because it's such a moving experience. You don't have to be a vet.
No.
You don't even have to have a relative that was a veteran.
Total strangers have come out. And I got to tell you, years ago, it's just a little inside baseball, when I first started covering Honor Flight, Mission 4, back there in 2014, part of what we did at News Channel 9 at Honor Flight's request was, well, Dan, as the mission day comes closer, invite people to come to the airport like you just did for the welcome home. So that was Mission 4. I think by the next time I covered Honor Flight, they were deliberately saying to Channel 9, please do not ask people to come to the airport, because the airport was saying, we can't handle the crowd. It got that big. So we've just done something we probably shouldn't have done.
But
Cindy said so. So if you really want to go,
go.
But don't,
I'll take it.
It's follow the signs for parking, and it's Honor Flight parking. They'll put you in the right parking lot if you come to visit the ceremony, and leave early. Expect a crowd. There will be a crowd, and it's
It's worth your time, though.
Yeah.
It's a very moving event. It's well worth the time. If you just want to come to watch the plane land or just the parade or whatever.
Now, if you can't, I don't know. I mean, last mission, PAC-B TV was right there. You're doing some taping, and you did this program is great. We will, on our Facebook page, again, be efforting, and with the help of Casey Brown, it'll be a successful effort. We're on the Honor Flight Syracuse Facebook page. We're going to stream the Welcome Home live. So it will be available on the Honor Flight Syracuse Facebook page.
Okay.
Live streaming video of the of the parade and the welcome home. You'll get the flavor of it even if you can't be there.
Well, and it is impressive. It is impressive. But again, thanks so much, Dan. I appreciate you taking the time because I know you're busy. This is a crazy time for you.
Crazy time, crazy week, which gives me the chance to say one more thing about that Cannon Bottle Drive. This Saturday and Sunday, if you're watching this on PAC-B TV, Saturday the 26th of April, Sunday the 27th, 9 to 5, both days, either day, bring your bottles and cans.
Bring them all.
Bring
them
the
all.
empties to
Yep.
Destiny USA. Big parking lot there.
Yep.
We'll collect them. We're raising money for Honor Flight, and we appreciate it if you can help us out.
Well, there you go. There you go. That being said, thanks again. I appreciate it. Good luck with the event Saturday, May 3rd. And thank you so much for what you've done for all these years. We fully, fully appreciate it. And I'm sure all the veterans do as well. Thanks again, Dan.
Cindy, thank you.